Got a mechanical 12 valve on. He's ramping up for the 60 pull right now. All right, thank you for joining us again for Diesel Performance Podcast, broadcasting from Diesel Power Challenge 2018. I am here with KJ. How the hell are you?
I'm doing well. I'm maintaining. This is steady state. You got to maintain a steady state with this, Paul. You can't shoot it all at once, man, because it's a long week.
It is a marathon. There's no question there.
Absolutely.
KJ, I was just talking to you a little bit about this being my first time at the event and actually seeing what today's fuel consumption test is. And I think the old days when they like drove on the road and like taped off the tanks and then measured it all at the pump, that was a lot fucking easier.
Yes. It was, looking back, it was a lot simpler, but in the big picture, it wasn't as efficient as what we've adopted in the last 3 years. This is the third year of what we're doing now, and you're referring to the dyno program.
Yeah.
I guess about 4 years ago, or 4 years ago when I started with Diesel Power Challenge, we did have a locking gas cap program, and it all originates from, let me give you history. It originates from the road tests that they used to have through the beautiful hills of Colorado that were just magnificent, and it was all kinds of fun and games. There was trickery going on during that test.
Right.
Guys would shut an engine off and coast down a hill and other type of things, and that's not safe, first of all. But the other side of it is one of our supporters, one of our main supporters, was concerned about the trucks being on the highway going through Colorado, emblazoned with signage for various companies and Diesel Power Magazine, and the growing concern about the environment being what it was.
Sure.
They asked, is there some way that we can make this still competitive but different and not have that type of presence while we're here, not draw attention to ourselves in a negative way.
Well, I think you guys nailed it because you took this segment of the competition from a fluff piece. I mean, let's be driving around the beautiful hills of Colorado, not very competitive. And like you said, a lot of tomfoolery, a lot of trickery, shutting engines off, living on nitrous for half the thing, and all these sort of things. And then you actually built this test, and we talked about this. When you first came on the show, you described this test to me, and I had such a hard time visualizing it.
Your eyes glazing over through the podcast.
It was so hard to understand about keep this line in the ball, and you got to match these two things. Okay. It's a simulation of driving, of real-world driving.
Yes, sir.
Where they pull it up to about 60 miles an hour, going up a 6% grade.
That's the grade. Yeah.
That's the grade.
You got to get up the grade.
That's tough. It doesn't sound like a lot, but when you drive up a 6% grade at 60 miles an hour, that's tough on a truck.
Yes, it is.
Especially these trucks
that
are built for around 1,000 horsepower. About everybody here is shooting that number. Some of these guys, single chargers.
Yep.
Can't keep it from locking the converter.
Big signals with the converter, and then when you got compounds on it, and you got big compounds
trying to get them to light, and you got to do 30. You got to coast for a little bit.
Yeah.
You go through all of these different segments, and I've been talking to the other competitors. I was telling them, I think we have finally found something to do with a diesel truck that's tougher on the truck than sled pulling.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I
take that as a compliment.
On trucks, man. It is, and this is where we're seeing guys maybe not flop out of the competition.
No.
But I think we got 3 guys to neutral out today and cut the time early.
That are DNF'd. And I look at the DNFs, though, that's, personally speaking, not necessarily officially speaking, but personally speaking, I think that's a wise choice. Take the DNF. Don't sacrifice your truck or damaging your truck, extensive damage, for the sake of this segment of the competition. It's a long week.
It's the first day.
You want to finish the week, and this is actually, it's the second day. It's the first day of competition, but it is the first day of competition, but the second day of Diesel Power Challenge, and we go 5 days.
Right.
So you want to finish this deal, and it makes 0 sense for you to, in an effort to score 100 points or, nail this thing, burn your truck up. And this, with the heat, the heat is the big concern.
It is.
With the heat that this test generates, it is absolutely not worth it to do that. However, it is also not worth it to not get on and try.
Yeah, you got to do something.
Exactly.
Right?
A do not start garners you 0 points.
And I was just going to ask about this. So a DNS, as in
0
Sierra,
points.
is a do not start.
Correct.
Do not finish is a DNF.
It's a DNF, and what we do with a DNF and with the guys that finish with DNFs is they roll into last place points. All of them, whoever DNFs, it's not any type of a positioning thing. Points are awarded for DNF, and they're considered last place points.
Copy. Okay, so if there was 9 people that started the competition and 3 people DNF'd, you would get 5 guys with points, and all the DNFs get the same amount of points.
Same amount of points, yes,
so it doesn't matter how far you made it through. If you didn't finish, you didn't finish.
Correct.
So you might as well not kill your truck and stretch out that amount of time that you're in these high temps. You guys are hitting 240, 260 out here.
Oh, sure. So watch your gauges. But in the same breath, it is a competition, and give it your best shot.
Oh, you got to try.
Give it your best shot by all means. But again, this is a personal opinion. It's really up to the driver. And I left that message with them before we started our drivers meeting. It is up to you to watch your gauges, to listen to your truck, smell your truck in a lot of cases, and if you are uncomfortable with what's going on, bail out.
That's it,
you're not punk or anything like that. Just keep on. So we'll see you tomorrow. And tomorrow, day 3 of Diesel Power Challenge, of course, is when we get on the pump for real.
Right.
We see what. There was a lot of horsepower listed in these stats that I looked at, and people that are that are fans of Diesel Power Challenge voted for the trucks based on their performance, their advertised performance. So it's time to show and prove. So have the truck ready for tomorrow, and in a sense, don't risk it. But in the same breath, Paul, we've had trucks that's gone through this thing with no problem. So
we have, and I also want to describe here, the challenge is not just how grueling the test is on the truck. The challenge is also the driver.
Absolutely.
And being able to keep that notch there. There are some of these guys where their trans setup and their turbo setups don't really allow for this type of driving. So they're now pedaling. I got guys using both feet on the pedals. I got guys who are trying to manual shift and automatic. And God forbid you're a G56 out here. We're still...
Well, G56 is on deck. He's coming soon.
He's coming up. And
he's coming soon.
That's what we're going to see. Is that an advantage, a disadvantage? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I think it'll come down to what's your strategy driving this.
Absolutely. And when we talked before about Diesel Power Challenge, and one of the messages I always communicated, it's a strategic test. It's a test of truck, of course, of driver, of team, and overall strategy. Coming in here tomorrow and lighting things up and putting your 1,000 up and your 2,000 pounds of torque and all that, that's a beautiful thing. It is an absolutely wonderful, gets me pumped up, goosebump thing. But it does not win Diesel Power Challenge necessarily. It just doesn't. It doesn't mean you're going to walk out of here with the first place trophy. You have to use strategy across the board. And to your point, guys were figuring that out on this thing, and they went through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Pretty impressed. I know we had a couple of real smooth performances, a couple of really tough ones. No total heartbreaks. Nobody's going sent home. I do see somebody doing some fab work already.
Oh yeah, there's some
which is great.
Work, which is part of this event. My catchphrase, if I can, my catchphrase about this is the challenge starts when you say yes, I'll come.
This is true. I have heard you say that 100 times.
100 times. If I had $1, right? If I had $1. No, but really, the challenge does start when you accept the invitation to come to this. That's when the challenge starts. It's really not when you get here to Denver and start executing some of these.
No, that would assume your truck was all the way together when people voted on it.
Exactly.
Right? No, but it's been amazing to see these guys come together. I also want to say the attitude here, I do see a lot of diesel events where there's camaraderie among the competitors, but this is these guys don't seem like they're competing with each other. These guys seem like they're all here to have fun, and they all want to do good, and they're all talking with each other. They're all hanging out with each other. It's not that usual, we'll be polite and shake hands when we have to. No, they're guys are actually friends here that have never met before or never done anything together before. It's a very different atmosphere than any other event I've been to.
That's done on purpose. That's intentional. That's what I want. As editor of Diesel Power, and I guess, the guy that's kind of running this setup, that's what I want. It's competitive, yes, but it is not bloodthirsty cutthroat where, hey, can I borrow 916s? No, get out of here. There's no fucking That's not what we're about. It's a check your ego, come and participate, play tough, play hard, but at the end of the day, what I want to do and what I've been trying to do since I've taken this over, is foster a fraternity, foster a brotherhood among diesel enthusiasts, diesel guys, hardcore, you know what I'm saying? And they're guys who, some have support of some shops, famous shops and known brand shops. Some guys are in their driveway. A couple of buddies just getting it done in the garage, man. And I mean, as a guy who started, not necessarily in diesel, but just in performance that way, that was me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And I dig that so much, and that's what a lot of our core readers are, the people that watch us now, through the social media and our video stuff. That's what we're about. The guy that's not, in a sense, big bucks. Sure, there's expense being made, but the expense is being made strategically. Where can I get this part for X dollar versus, I don't have a big budget, so how can I make what I want the most efficient, budget-minded way.
Hobbyists, enthusiasts, guys who are doing this just for the passion. I don't know how many guys I've got to talk to.
They're doing it for a trophy, dude.
That's it.
They're doing it for a trophy. There's no 50 racks on the line or anything like that.
I feel like they didn't know that they could buy the trophy.
No,
this
cool.
is they want to earn it. They want to feel it. It's been very impressive.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm very glad you're here because, as we talked, I've listened to the podcast. I'm a fan of the podcast, and I've listened to some of the things that you've said.
Sure.
And honestly, I've cringed a little bit because I'm like, no, that's not it. That's not it. And you've given me the opportunity to come on the podcast and explain it. And anytime that I have that opportunity, I want to keep explaining it so people finally get it, that we are Diesel Power Challenge. The challenge or power has been the wild card. Wild card word meaning, Diesel Power Challenge, so dyno and drag strip.
Right.
That's your power. The wild card word is challenge. That's it.
That's really what this is shaping up to be,
Yep.
where this is an actual all-around challenge.
Yep.
And it's not done, like you said, with unlimited resources. Everybody here, this is here for passion.
Yep.
This is here to really do something just cool.
Absolutely, because I'm passionate, dude. That's where I'm from, man. That's absolutely where I'm from, and I'm glad you perceive that, and I appreciate you being here to help communicate that, because that just helps Diesel Power Challenge become better and better and better every year. That's what I want. That's purely what I want.
Absolutely. Well, you guys are killing it, and you know what? We're going to kick it over to some of the competitors to tell us how it went today going through the fuel consumption test. Our very first competitor is off the rollers. Cody, how the hell are you?
I'm doing great. And say it was nerve-wracking watching the testing and didn't know how I'd do with the throttle and how the truck would do, but truck did good. Throttle response was good. Got a little warm. And say at one point the engine coolant temp was clear up into 220 and trans got up to 215, and so it kind of cooled back down after a little bit when I got down to a lower speed. But I think I did well. I only got one mark knocked off, so we're hope that does it. But
first one of the day, it's always really hard
Yeah.
to tell what's the rest of the pack going to do, right?
Yeah, it's hard to tell what everyone else is going to do. I say it's definitely tricky to figure out and make sure that it just stays in line. The shift points, that it spikes it and everything, so it's kind of hard to see what it's going to do. So,
well, my guess here at the competition is that you have the most dyno experience out of anybody. So
Yeah.
working Northwest Dyno Circuit, we saw you at UCC working the dyno for the UCC. You have some experience around these. Do you think that played to your advantage through this event?
I think a little bit, because I'm always on the rollers and dynoing trucks at our shop, or like I've dynoed that truck quite a bit of times, so I know when the rollers are. I know where my shifts are to trying to let off a little bit.
Okay.
So, and everything. So I think it gave me a little bit because I'm always on the rollers and always playing with the dyno. So I think it helped me a little bit. So
what was your strategy throughout? I heard you mentioning something about using 2 feet.
Yeah, definitely strategy after I started going. After I got that one nick, I kind of figured out using both feet. So if I can keep on the gas a little bit and brake at the same time to try to keep it from falling too fast or going up too fast, I can brake it before it takes off. So
Awesome. Well, I'm really excited for it, man. It looked like you killed it. Everybody out there kind of seemed to be really impressed with the event. How long is the run there? How long are you actually on the rollers for through this?
You're on the rollers for 20 minutes. It definitely feels like a long time, and it definitely is like kind of you're staring at a screen the whole time and then checking in at your engine coolant temps and stuff like that. So it's definitely, your eyes get a little tired from just looking at a screen and sitting there for 20 minutes. So
good stuff, man. Well, go take some rest now, and great job.
Sweet. Thank you.
No problem. All right, coming over to Shane Merriman's truck. We just got off fuel mileage, fuel consumption. Circling around. I got a feeling the truck is cooling off here. We got a whole group of guys. I'd say there's 10, 15 guys piled around the engine bay right now. So I'd assume his crew and another crew all kind of looking at the truck, trying to get some ideas of what's going on. As I work my way in here, we're going to try to eavesdrop a little bit. Hey, sorry, squeezing in here, guys. Just trying to drop in a little bit. I know sounded like we had a couple of issues, or at least there was something of concern to pause things.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, the challenge, it looked difficult, and my truck proved it. It's going to be a struggle for a lot of people. I mean, it is what it is, high altitude. The fan wasn't really blowing a whole lot, and it has a manual valve body, so I'm stuck in a gear unless I shift up or down, and I was lugging it down, and I knew the EGTs were getting a little bit hot and the temperature was climbing, and I was just trying to follow the graph, and she got hot. So,
How hot were you seeing on the EGTs?
well, the EGTs wasn't my main concern. I glanced at it, and then I glanced at my temperature, which was a 240, and it was climbing a little bit. So at that point, I mean, the bay was blacked out. I wasn't even paying attention to the graph anymore. I shut it down, and she started puking. So,
Gotcha. Are we seeing coolant push? Is that what you're saying? It started puking?
well, I think what happened is that it just overpowered the radiator cap, and then it blew out the overflow. So, I mean, nothing else concerns me as far as any kind of gasket issues or block or freeze plug issues. So, I think we're gonna maybe pull a thermostat and take a look at some cooling options and get back at it.
Gotcha. So are you going to be able to get back on the dyno to finish the test?
No, that's it for me for the test.
That's the run for the test. Okay. Okay, coming up on Andrew Morrison. Andrew!
How's it going?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
Good. Started off really well, actually. Was staying in the lines. Everything was going good. Truck was actually spooling and keeping up with it. Braking when it was supposed to. Temperature started off at 140 on it, and then it started climbing. Got to operating temperatures about 190. And then once it hit the stretch, about 60 mile an hour, clicked overdrive on the dyno, and she raised up to about 200. And I said, I'll give it a little bit more before I let out of it. And then it got to about 210, and I figured, it wasn't worth hurting it on the first day. So we just popped it in neutral and let it coast back down to cool off.
You were on there, about 10 minutes?
Yeah, I believe about 10 minutes. We hope to get it a little bit longer than that, but like I said, it's not worth hurting her on the first day. Strategy for tomorrow is keep it cool, number one. And then number two, let's see what kind of numbers we can make on the dyno. We get 30 minutes for 3 pulls, so I expect to make my first big number on the first pull. If I could hit somewhere between the over 1,000, I'd be happy with. I'd be confident with that. Pushing for to go up above 1,000, but if I get to 1,000 and I don't feel like I want to make another pass, I might just stick with that. A lot of spray. Trans felt really good. Every gear shift was firm. No leakage. Transmission never got over 150. Running cool. It was great. It was awesome.
Well, thank you so much for taking a second to talk to our listeners, and we wish you the best of luck tomorrow.
All right, thank you.
Garrett Hossein, 2010 6.4 Ford.
Awesome. Okay, Garrett, how did it go today with the fuel consumption test?
Went really well, actually. It was a lot more brutal than I expected it to be. Kind of watching the demo, it looked like it was going to be a pretty simple walkthrough, but it's a pretty good load, and it's hard on the truck. Definitely hard.
Yeah, what I noticed is a lot of guys getting capped out here at that 60 mile an hour pull up this 6% grade. How'd that go for you?
Not too bad. It was a little rough. The converter locked, and I was trying not to let it, just to kind of try and maintain RPM, not let it fall off. It's kind of tough to keep it in that window and keep EGTs down, so had a couple little misses right there, but other than that, it went really well.
What were the highest EGTs that you saw on the test?
I think I only saw around 1,100, 1,150, so I'm actually really happy with that, but I wasn't sure going into the 60 mile an hour what we'd see, so.
Yeah, that's like not even working. That's just cruising temps, man. You're good.
Yeah, not bad at all. Totally. I mean, a little higher than highway temps, but it's a tough RPM range for my truck. So.
Awesome. How did it feel trying to work that balance? Did you end up having to do two pedals, work both pedals at one time? Did you just a lot of on the gas quickly, off the throttle quickly?
For me, I just one foot back and forth between the brake and the gas. Actually had to stop a lot harder than I thought I'd have to. It didn't really. With the load that it's set at, I really thought it would coast down, so I was really playing the brake quite a bit. But other than that, no, just standard driving techniques.
Okay, that's pretty interesting. I love to see it out there. It seems smooth. I mean, you made it look easy. How did you handle keeping the arrows in the lines? Did you count how many DQs or whatever they're calling them there, how many misses you had?
I wasn't keeping track. I know we had some right there at that 60 mile an hour trying to keep the converter from locking, but I just kind of stared at it for the whole run. I just watched it and tried to keep it balanced and tried to keep the truck cool.
Awesome, man. Well, it looks like you did a great job. Good luck. What are your plans for going into tomorrow?
We got a little maintenance to do tonight. We'll we got some changing around to do for the dyno tomorrow. We had a little valve train carnage this week, and we threw some stock parts in to get by the first day, and now we're going to throw the good stuff back in.
Okay, so you're going to be wrenching on the truck tonight.
Yes, sir. We'll be working on it tonight.
Awesome. Well, good luck to you, man. We're rooting for you.
Thank you very much.
Alan Burke, 2007 Chevy 2500 with a 6.6 Duramax. I'm from Geneva, Ohio.
All right, you just got done with the fuel consumption test. It is a grueling test.
So far, I mean, it's the first challenge we've done for the week, and I think this is going to be the hardest one, but I made it through it. I think I blacked out the whole shop, probably the best ever.
Yeah, you can't see through the entire shop, the entire bay, the dyno, you can't see anywhere.
Yeah, if anyone's been to ATS, they know how big it is. I don't think you can really see anywhere in here for right now.
Yeah.
So, and I've still got soot everywhere, up my nose, my mouth. It's still hard to breathe.
Yeah,
right
your
now.
eyes are just covered in it, man.
It's probably like
rough.
I got punched in the eyes.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, single S475. How did it perform?
It struggled a little bit. We had some converter issues. We knew came into this event knowing it's not the right one, so I don't think it's doing right either. So I think we're pulling it out, swapping it out, putting a little bit better one in to help with the big hose guard and injectors we got running. Hopefully get this 475 to light up a lot better and do some better, more passes and less smoke when we get out this week.
Okay. How'd you do for heat on there? What were your EGTs? What were your coolant temps?
EGTs, don't have a gauge. I'm running stock gauges right now. I never got to get an edge or any monitors in, so I don't know how much EGTs were, and I don't want to know.
Don't care, right? We weren't going to stop based on those anyways.
Yeah, coolant was right at 210. I wasn't worried about that. Trans got to 240, but we're not worried about it. I mean, we'll go check it out maybe when we get it apart tonight and see if anything's worth it, but I think we're good to go.
All right, so converter change up for tomorrow. What else do you got in the plans to be ready for tomorrow?
That's it. Everything's still strong. We're going to, check a few things probably, I'm sure, go from there. But converter's the only thing we plan on doing, just get through the rest of the event. So a lot less smoke.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm excited for you. You did great. It was a real tough test, but really impressed that you made it through. I did not think the single S475 with that stall converter was going to make it through this one, man. I thought you were going to temp out and take the DNF, but you stuck in there, and it was impressive to see. Glad to see a Duramax doing well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, let's get started with your name.
I'm Trey Hutton, and I'm from Conrad, Montana.
And what truck?
03 LB7.
All right, and then we did fuel consumption test. How'd it go?
Went great. Takes a little bit to get used to it. It's kind of touchy in the beginning. You got to kind of get your brake and throttle in tune with each other. But other than that, we had 6 penalties, which I didn't think was bad. I enjoyed it. I had fun. We made it, kept engine under control, tranny temp under control, so we were there and we didn't have any issues, so I'm happy about that.
How was the strategy of actually driving it? Was it just a lot of slam the throttle, slam the brake? Was it two-footed driving? What'd you do?
Ended up finding out, like me and Cody talked when he got out, is if you can ride both the brake and the throttle at the same time during the small increases, it seems to work the best. If you smash the throttle, it's just too responsive to actually get anywhere with it. So.
Gotcha. Okay. So 6 penalties. Did you watch everybody else? Do you know where that puts you in reference to the other guys?
No, not at all, and I'm not really. I'm not looking forward right now. I'm here having a good time watching these guys and hoping everybody makes it through without any problems. So.
Awesome, man. Well, congrats. What was the highest EGT or coolant temps you did see while you were on there?
Coolant temps were 208 at the max 60 pull, and then EGTs were never over 1,000. So.
Oh, wow. Nice and cool.
Yep.
Okay, awesome, man. Well, great job. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much. No problem.
We're over here at the fuel consumption test, winding down to the end of the day, second to last truck. Travis Richards has this mega cab with a G56 transmission. He's the only manual transmission in the competition and one of the only manual transmissions in recent history. So we know that there have been other ones in Diesel Power Challenge. He's the only one very recently. Believe this will be the first manual transmission truck to go through the fuel consumption test that is built on the dyno. This test really has been extremely tough on the mechanical injection trucks, but I'm going to shut up and I'm going to actually try to get some sound bites here of this manual transmission truck going through this test. am here with Travis Richards.
Yes, sir.
And just got off the dyno with his Cummins, only G56 in the field. Turns out second G56 of all time in Diesel Power Challenge. Just had that confirmed. Garrett, real quick, kick us off. You got the list of your sponsors up?
Yes, sir.
Let's do that first.
Definitely like to thank Ziegler Diesel Performance, BD Diesel, Slosh Fabrication, Hans Diesel, Impact Inc., Diesel Doctor, Top Gun Diesel, Nate's Transfer Case, and definitely Valair.
And Valair. Okay, good stuff. All right, you just got off the fuel consumption test. It's day 2 of the challenge. It's day 1 of the competition. The truck did great, man. And there's been a ton of talk about a G56 doing this fuel consumption test and the amount of drivability. How did it feel?
Definitely tough to get adjusted to it. And I mean, you got to be quick with the shifting because that thing's no joke.
Yeah. So all the way through the gears then, 1 to 6?
No, I actually ran second for quite a while. Then in the lower ranges, I ran second, third, and then I had to hit fourth. Fourth was kind of a struggle because we were on top of the turbo.
Okay.
And that thing just wanted to take off.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I spiked the graph, and that was one of my penalties.
Okay. Okay. How'd you do with the penalties? Were you counting them? Did you just have 1 or 2?
I had a couple, I think, 4 or 5.
Okay.
So
okay,
I'll take
gotcha.
That.
How did the truck do? How high were your EGTs?
EGTs were actually really well.
Really?
Yeah. Engine temperature never went over 190. Which was super impressive.
Yeah, that's the lowest I've heard so far. That's awesome, man.
Definitely something I was worried about.
Okay. And then obviously trans not getting hot or anything like that. Any other problems as you're starting to really wear on that truck? That 60 mile an hour, 6% grade, that's a tough one.
Yeah, actually, that's when I had to shift into fourth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we felt the truck kind of walk on the dyno. And
okay.
Yeah, that was kind of sketchy because the whole thing started swaying.
Yeah, so I was sitting right in front of the dyno, like as close as I could be to the dyno bay and trying to stick the microphone in there to record your truck. And every time you shifted, I thought the truck was going to lurch off the rollers.
Right. I mean, that was the hardest part because, I mean, every time you shifted, you just wanted to go.
Right.
And it wasn't, I mean, as easy as I tried to even slip it. I mean, there's a couple of times I tried to ease into it, still stay in the graph, and there's no easing in. Just a couple of times I didn't even use the clutch.
Oh, my God.
I just slammed it and kept going.
It performed great. The crowd cheered as you got off the dyno. Everybody, I think, came over and said congratulations to you. Nobody thought that you'd be able to do it with a manual shifter. But to be honest, I think it kind of gave you an advantage here.
Yeah, definitely on the downgrades. I mean, as soon as you let off the throttle, it just nicely starts to slow it down. I mean,
really?
Yeah, I never had an issue at all on the downgrades.
Okay, so you weren't having to really step on the brakes much then?
Oh, not at all.
Not at all. That's also you're the only one to say that so far.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, yep.
Okay. What did you think of doing this test here today?
I mean, a lot of people probably don't think it's too hard, but that thing is no joke. I ran 4,000 RPM for, I mean, what felt like an eternity. so I mean, yeah, it's definitely a struggle. I mean, challenge. So.
That's awesome, man. Well, you did great. It was very, very impressive. Best of luck to you tomorrow. Any plans for getting ready for tomorrow?
Turn it up.
Turn it up. I love it. Well, all right, man. Good luck.
My name is Zack. I'm from Bluffton, Ohio. I'm driving a 2004 Ford F-250 6-liter diesel.
Awesome. And describe the outside of the truck for me.
The truck is an extended cab long bed, lifted 4-inch lifted pickup. The body is all original. Everything underneath the body has been repainted from the axles up to the top of the engine.
Okay, perfect, man. No, it's a beautiful truck. The burgundy color. Yeah,
I think Ford calls that a dark Torado red.
Bullshit. No, I'm just playing. And then what do you got for wheels and tires?
We're running a set of 35 1250 Cooper Discover STT Pros with a set of 22x12 fuel FF12 forged wheels.
Awesome. And then what do we got under the hood as far as power goes?
We're running a S488 over a 369 SXE. Running everything through piping made by Bluffton Diesel Service in-house. We're running Warren 330 150 injectors, 03 style high pressure oil system. We're running a MPD oil cooler delete kit, custom basically oil to air cooling setup, Mishimoto intercooler, Mishimoto radiator, flex light fans. As far as internals, everything was blueprinted, balanced in-house. As far as the engine goes, aside from the physical machine work, everything else was done at our shop here in Bluffton.
That's awesome, man. Okay, so real home build here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are your goals for this challenge?
As far as the drivability goes, my goals are to not get it too hot. We've seen a lot of guys struggle with temperatures on the long grade where they're running right around 55, 60 mile an hour. They're simulating a 6% grade, which a 6% grade in an altitude where we're at is not a big deal, but when we're up here in Denver with this altitude, it is a huge difference.
Yeah.
As long as we can keep the temperatures manageable, I think we'll be okay as far as staying on top of everything.
Okay, cool, man. Any sponsors you want to give a shout out to?
I'd like to say thanks to AMSOIL for hooking us up. They sent us over everything we needed to get the truck going, get it up here. We had everything drained out of this truck a couple weeks ago when we were going through it. So, I mean, everything from their 5W40 full synthetic engine oil, their ATF 75 140 synthetic gear oil. It was a huge help just to alleviate some of that cost, when coming up to this sort of event.
Gotcha. Awesome, man. Well, I definitely appreciate it. Any words for the listeners? Anything you want to say to the people listening at home?
Make sure you guys watch us on Facebook. Check out all the podcasts and live feeds and whatnot throughout the week, and try and keep up with how everybody else is doing, and just watch the competition.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Good luck.
All right. Thanks, sir.
All right, Cody Cook, and we just got done with fuel consumption testing. It is the first day of the competition. Cody, how'd it go?
Well, it was very hard to follow the lines. Hard to get the turbos to stay spooled up and stay within the lines.
Okay, so in this test, you have to, there's a little arrow, and it points to where you need to be. So it basically tells you how fast you need to drive the truck.
Right.
Okay. It was tough on you, man. We heard the converter lock, and that kind of lugged you down there and had to really get after it on the throttle. Walk me through what happened there at that first big 60 pull.
I wasn't able to get the mile per hour out of third gear. I was hoping to stay in third and lower gears instead of it being in drive. I didn't have enough gear in third, and I shifted up to drive and hit lock up, and then it just bogged down.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep the turbos lit. Yeah, it was just rough.
It was rough. Okay. At what point did you decide to call it? Because we did make it the full 20 minutes, but that's okay because I saw you drive the truck off the dyno and not have to push it.
Right. We had a target temp of like 230 on the engine coolant temp. I took it up to 142, and I figured I might have a spot where I could get it to cool down a little bit, but just didn't work out that way.
Gotcha. So I'm sorry, 242 it hit, and
242.
Okay, and 230 was really what you wanted to keep it under.
Yeah.
Okay. How long did you sit over that 230 mark? Were you there for like just a second or just a few minutes?
It was probably 30 seconds.
It's hard to tell when you're on there, right?
Yeah.
Because you're worried, and you still got to watch the line. It's
I'm
not like
watching the line, watching RPM, trying to shift the truck, and filled with smoke, cab and everything. Just hard to see.
It was blacked out. All of the ATS, the shop bay, the dyno bay, everything was just pure black smoke through there.
Yeah, it was pretty brutal in there.
All right, but that's all right because you saved the truck and you got four more pieces of competition, right?
Right. Yep.
All
Truck's
right,
still in good shape, so.
Do you got to work on anything now, or is it just get prepped for tomorrow?
Clean it up, wire up the nitrous. That's it.
Awesome, man. Well, good luck. We're excited to see you compete tomorrow.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks. All right, I am here with Zack Skulls, day 2 of the competition. We got the 6-liter Power Stroke. Just finished up the fuel consumption test. Tell me about it.
That test is not to be taken lightly. That was pretty brutal. We didn't quite finish the whole test. We were just running into issues with everything just getting too hot. That was our main concern going into it, was just fighting temperatures, making sure we could keep it cool, and we just couldn't quite keep the temps down to where we felt comfortable to keep running.
How hot did they get?
Our oil only ever hit 200 degrees just right at the very end. Otherwise, the oil stayed probably about 170 the whole time. It was our coolant that we were really watching heavily. It just spiked over 240 here right there at the end, and that just it's for what the drivability portion of it is versus the rest of the competition. It's not worth it to try and melt something down or do any sort of major damage, the first day around.
Awesome, man. Yeah, no, really good point. Okay, so you had a strategy to it. You had an idea of what you wanted to do. Where do you go from here?
Well, tonight we've got a few adjustments to make. I know that we are going to try and pull a trans, make a converter swap. We're going to go back through and make sure that none of the heat affected anything else. Just touch up a couple little odds and ends, and then we'll be back here first thing in the morning ready to go for the dyno.
Awesome, man. Well, sorry to see that it went this way. Glad to hear that you guys are in high spirits and still got good outlook. It doesn't sound like anything too detrimental is going on. So best of luck to you.
Hey, thank you.
Well, there it is, guys. Day 2 of Diesel Power Challenge 2018. First of all, big shout out to Diesel Power Magazine for having us, the Diesel Performance Podcast, at the show. We genuinely really appreciate it. Seeing is believing. I had mocked this fuel consumption test. Who cares about fuel mileage on a truck? And that's not what these trucks are built for. And I had a lot of other things to say coming into this event. Now that I've seen it in person, now that I've actually watched it happen, this test it's torture on these trucks. The way that they've built this fuel consumption test, it weighs heavy on this challenge. It is a big part of it. It's easy to knock out some of the older trucks. It definitely gives some advantage to some compound turbochargers. It really changes the dynamic of what setup is going to be the most practical to score well in all 5 events. Big shout out to the guys on the dyno, the whole crew that had to work on the dyno and run the dyno all day with these guys, the film crew and all the media crew from Diesel Power and Truck Trend. They were amazing. They were hardworking. The guys at ATS were phenomenal. It is the most impressive facility I have ever visited. If you ever have a chance to be out in Colorado, I would say it's worth stopping by. I was blown away by just everything that they have here. Top notch from the competitors today. These guys, they have a lot of camaraderie among each other. They feel like they're kind of at this challenge together. They don't really see each other as enemies. They're really banding together, helping each other out in the pits and working on trucks and parts and things like that back and forth. A lot of advice going back and forth on and off the dyno. The last guy, getting off, telling the next guy coming on kind of what was his strategy. People are really open and really sharing. So for day 2 of the challenge to be done, it's going to be exciting tomorrow for the dyno competition for sure. For tonight, this has been Paul Wilson with the Diesel Performance Podcast. Thanks for listening.